Wrigley Field is the oldest ballpark in the National League, but it was the last ballpark in the major leagues to have a modern convenience installed in it. Lights. Only day games were played at Wrigley up until 1988 due to lack of lights, but the story starts almost 50 years prior to that. After the 1941 season, then owner of the Cubs, P.K. Wrigley, decided that he wanted lights installed for the 42 season, but in December of 1941, the United States entered a little thing called World War II. So Wrigley decided to donate the lights and the equipment to the war effort. The Cubs tried to install lights throughout the course of the war, but were denied every time. And by 1946, Wrigley had officially changed his stance on the lights, stating, "We believe that baseball is a daytime sport." The issue wasn't brought up again until 1982, and by this time, ownership had officially changed hands to the Tribune Company. The new owners threatened that if they were not allowed to install lights at Wrigley, they would be forced to find a new ballpark. This threat saw a massive backlash from a neighborhood group known as Citizens United for Baseball Under the Sunshine, aka Cubs. And by August of that year, the governor of Illinois had officially signed legislation banning night games at Wrigley Field. The Tribune Company took the governor to court over the issue, but lost in 1985. The hopes for lights at Wrigley Field looked bleak. But by 1987, local political office had changed hands, and the issue was brought up once again. In February of 1988, the Chicago City Council passed an ordinance allowing night games at Wrigley Field and allowing the Cubs to build lights there as well. On August 8th, 1988, the Cubs played their first ever night game at Wrigley Field, until it was promptly rained out in the fourth inning and delayed for another day. The first ever complete game that was played at Wrigley Field was the next day on August 9th, in a Cubs 6-4 victory over the New York Mets.